Now, it officially kicked off today, but they shut the hotel down yesterday. We had London Guardian reporter on Charlie Skelton, who was actually arrested last year in Greece. So to give us what's happening on the ground and any intel that Mark and Jim Tucker have gotten on what's on the agenda is Mark Anderson of AmericanFreePress.net. Mark, thanks for coming on with us.
My pleasure. Yeah, we've been inundated with local media and state media requests. It's been a very interesting day.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone from 33 years ago or so when the media would say that Jim was a kook and Bilderberg didn't exist, the real trailblazer on this, to now the Drudge Report and the Times of London, secretive Bilderberg club ready for protest, and they admit they're pushing for world government there in Sitges, Spain.
Yeah, that's part and parcel of what's going on here. Lots of national and regional media interest, conventional corporate media as well. The secrecy is being stripped away, but their drive and their ambitions are a hard thing to satisfy.
Well, I saw you interviewed by Russia Today on the ground with some of the protesters there. I saw the police shoving protesters. I even saw some of the protesters shoving the police back. And the police didn't attack them, so it looked like the police aren't wanting a confrontation. Normally, police would go haywire if somebody, shoved them back, but, because they're used to people submitting to their godlike authority to assault them, but not to be assaulted back. Break down the type of security you're seeing and expanding on that, any intel you're getting from inside the hotel.
The security, after I was at Hotel Dulce on June 1st, began to show up as the local police on June 2nd, and it intensified with these paddy wagons. They have mobile detention vans that the police can ride in themselves, but if they had to detain someone, they can do it on the spot. Oh, and I've been told by reliable sources that the plainclothes to private security are beginning to filter in. But what I've seen and what you saw on the Russia program was local police clearing one of those roundabouts, those round turnaround areas common in Europe, and they had to clear the grassed area in the middle of that. So protesters and activists and journalists could not clearly see or as clearly see or photograph any dark tinted window cars going in. It was just to kind of limit visibility and marginalize everyone. The pushing and shoving was a lot of local activists that just said, keep your hands off me, keep your hands off me. But so far the police have showed a lot of restraint. In terms of what's going on information-wise, I know the broad brushstrokes that they have been looking at making the IMF into a world treasury and things like that. But the minutia, the detail, we're still working on, and Jim can probably address that a little more.
Yeah, and I know Jim is trying to make his way up to his hotel room being mobbed by media. This is the complete opposite of even what was happening 10 years ago with almost no mainstream media coverage. We know this has got to be upsetting these world government schemers that they can't have their little mafia commission meetings in secret anymore.
Oh, I think it is. And the more this is done, the more they're going to get the pie in the face, so to speak, for people knowing they're meeting, and yet no forthcoming press releases, no, openness or transparency, no lists or anything of names. Their dishonor roll, I call it. And it's, at some point, something's got to give. With the Greek economy having taken a dive since last year's Bilderberg meeting in Greece, I think the Spanish see the writing on the wall. And there's a lot of Spanish people, bartenders, shopkeepers have told me that they see their economy going the same way. And, as night follows day, the Bilderberg machinations, the fingerprints are all over this thing.
Mark, now, I know you and Jim have been running around throughout the city trying to reach contacts. Jim got there a day late because of his plane being delayed. Normally, he goes into the hotel before it gets shut down. I've been there with him before when this has been done in Canada and, of course, in Virginia. But tell us about some of the sleuth work you've been doing.
Well, without going into too much detail, to tip my hand too much, just generally trying to learn the ropes. I'm a newcomer to Bilderberg, not in writing and reading about it, but in actually attending one. I guess you could call me Jim's apprentice in a way. This is a very complicated affair when you're dealing with so many important people lodged into one spot, and you're trying to get information that you can consider reliable, not just information or rumors. A big thing has been to wake the town and tell the people. Kind of the Z of Zorro on the wall. A lot of flyers have been circulating written in Spanish telling the average Spanish person what's going on in their town. And I produced some of those, and they went pretty viral at a lot of the protests at a train station and at different spots around Sitges, which is sort of an outreach of Barcelona, Spain, here along the Mediterranean. And the sleuth work has included, this year, I was the one to go into the hotel early before they closed it down. And what was curious was there were already virtually no people there. I tried their wine and looked out over the beautiful view, but there was really hardly anyone there already. And they had that place vacuumed as clean can get. And without going into too much detail, there just wasn't any sign yet of information or people for the actual Bilderberg meeting, but there was a very distinct lack of customers. And, of course, I inquired, can I get a hotel room here in a couple of nights? And they said, no, there's a big convention. You cannot be here. You know, I was just playing with them a little bit. And, you know, there's a lot of ironies and intrigue going on, but the media coverage from all levels, and both independent and regular media, is really quite intense. A lot of TV crews have been there all day yesterday and all day or part of the day before.
Well, that's exciting. What type of what's the flavor of the reporting that's going on that you're seeing on television and the press, or are you unable to read it because you don't speak Spanish? I mean, I know I don't.
Well, you know, it's not so much the language barrier, though that plays a role. It's that I'm so busy doing what I do, that I don't have time to see the results of what they do, let alone write up what I've gathered. I managed to file a story, I think, last night. I haven't even had a chance to see if it got posted yet online. No,
it did. It's mainly about the security.
Oh, yeah, perhaps so. And so it's tricky. It's hard to even, sometimes the reporters that you talk to don't provide all the information on what stations they broadcast on, how to dial it in.
But the point is there's a lot of media there, so that's exciting.
It's been almost constant, and it's a great mixture of the independent bloggers right on up to your national and regional TV stations. I heard one lady reporter with a national Spanish station arguing with her editor or her boss, saying we do too much trivia, too much bubblegum, we need to do more with this, which is, you know, a good thing to hear.
Well, I was talking to Charlie Skelton yesterday from The Guardian, and he said he was talking to BBC TV. They were getting ready to run with it. And then later the editor said, look, this has been killed, or the producer he was talking to said, this story's now been killed. So we do see Bilderberg there, you know, trying to suppress the news, trying to keep real news from hitting the media, but they're having less and less control. Let me ask you this, Mr. Anderson from American Free Press, deputy editor. Did you see Zbigniew Brzezinski's speech of 2 weeks ago that we wrote about and was later picked up and used in the speech before the EU Parliament a few days ago, quotes from our article dealing with the fact that Brzezinski basically said, for the first time in history, the whole world is awake to our world government and things are getting tougher for us?
I saw a clip of that somebody sent me, like an excerpt, and the only thing I would caution, and I think that's true, what he said, is what Taylor Caldwell, the late author, said. She warned that we shouldn't too easily believe that these power elite have large squabbles among themselves. They might have minor points of disagreement, but they do tend to think pretty much birds of a feather flock together, you know. And so some of that could be for public consumption, you know, like the Sun Tzu, The Art of War. When you are strong, appear weak. When you are weak, appear strong. We have to be very careful, and I've cautioned Jim, and Jim agrees that what Brzezinski said is probably true, but we don't want them to play possum on us. We don't want them to put out urban legends that we'll believe too easily.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm not a spring chicken in all of this research myself.
Of course not.
And what he said is true, just from my own research. The awakening Israel, I see it on the streets, and sure, we don't want to take from this, oh, we've beat them. No, we are now just finally finding our feet and have gotten a few good blows in, so we're in the fight. But I mean, I think the victory at Trenton by George Washington against the Hessians, you know, in the middle of the Revolutionary War, I don't think that was them going, God, we've won the war. I think it was, my God, we're starting to win a few battles here. And the fact that world government is being set up is now mainstream news, and they've tried to keep it secret. So I think what Brzezinski is, he's in the corner telling his boxers, hey, you better get in there and take this guy serious. We can take him, but you better wake up. Here's some smelling salts.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy, Alex. And, yeah, I think the part that's true is the public awakening. And that has got to trouble, the octogenarian tyrants like David Rockefeller and his apprentices or associates like Zbigniew Brzezinski, trilateral boys. And it's got to be troubling to them because I think the patriarch Rockefeller wants to see certain things happen before he goes to the great Bilderberg meeting in the sky, And, excuse me, I'm a little giggly. I haven't slept hardly. And so, at some point they're going to get impatient. And